Chem, AIM Financial Services, Texaco, and Connix.
No more fear of missing out. CVM TV News is on YouTube. Get up-to-date news, sports, and business content at CVM TV News anytime, anywhere. Subscribe now to CVM TV News to see it happen.
Fan Central Pitside, brought to you by Edgechem, AIM Financial Corporation, Texaco, and Connix.
It's Friday, October 25, 2024. Welcome to CVM News at noon. I'm Ramon Gordon. A man has died following a two-vehicle crash on the Little London Main Road in Westmoreland recently. The victim, Devon Nepal, was driving a Toyota Corolla when a Nissan Sunny veered into his lane and crashed into his car. Both drivers were taken to Savannah Lamar Hospital, where Nepal died. The other driver was treated and released. Westmoreland has recorded 42 road accidents and 51 fatalities this year. And on Tuesday, the government signed a Memorandum of Understanding with Atomic Energy of Canada Limited and Canadian Nuclear Laboratories Limited for the advancement of nuclear technologies in Jamaica. Speaking on CVM's lead story, one expert explained how elements of the technology works. Moving on now, the Norman Manley Law School recently marked its 40th anniversary, and to commemorate the milestone, the class of 1984 has launched a grant to support one student in need each year. At the ceremony, the attorneys described the initiative as a gesture of gratitude to the institution for its impact on their lives, with the hopes that it will benefit future students as well. Moving on now. Well, we'll have more after this quick break. Stay with us.
Our days get a little complex sometimes. Often so many things make sense, yet so many do not. We are being intentional about giving prominence to the big stories in order to clarify and enlighten. Lead Story explains who, what, when, where, why, and how. Lead Story with George Davis, weekdays at 6:30 p.m. on CVM TV.
Welcome back. Back to the news. A man was shot dead and his girlfriend injured in Inverness District, Knockpatrick, Manchester on Thursday night. He has been identified as 30-year-old Rashane Welcher, a resident of Inverness. Reports are that the couple was in a bar when gunmen entered the establishment and demanded money from them. When their demands were not met, it's alleged the gunmen opened fire on the man, killing him on the spot. His girlfriend was shot in the abdomen. This brings the total number of homicides in Manchester since the start of the year to 43. The Lucy police in Hanover have launched an investigation into the death of an inmate, Jason Harvey, a 44-year-old man from Bamboo Drive in Hopewell, Hanover. Harvey, who was being held in the Lucy lockup, allegedly developed multiple health complications after his arrest and was initially treated at the Noel Holmes Hospital. Due to the severity of his condition, including brain injuries, a urinary tract infection, respiratory disease and a facial bone fracture, Harvey was transferred to the Falmouth Hospital on September 23. Despite receiving treatment, he passed away at approximately 3:20 on Tuesday. And opposition spokesperson on tourism, Senator Janice Allen, has raised concerns over the use of contracts to engage employees in the tourism sector. Speaking on Lead Story last evening, Allen warned that this practice could lead to the exploitation of tourism workers.
When you have a situation, not that there's never a point at which you need workers on contract, but what we don't want is to have an abuse of contract work situation, where over and over people's contracts are rolled over, like you said before, 3 months, 6 months, and then it can go on for years. And technically, that person who has been on that rotating contract for a number of years is technically a long-term employee, for want of a better term. And unfortunately, they don't have the benefit of certain benefits that are offered to them or provided because they're on contract.
The spokesperson on tourism says that the PNP government will prioritize local tourism enterprise as a means of maximizing local benefits for locals here.
Going to ensure that Jamaican businesses get a greater piece of the pie. And by what? What do I mean by that? This matter of vertical integration has over the years been expanded in the industry. So you have an investor, a foreign direct investor who comes to Jamaica, and they come to Jamaica to go in the business of accommodations, hotels, for example. When they do come to Jamaica, sometimes they end up in other areas of tourism. And what we want, and that leads to more of the tourism dollar leaving Jamaica. Currently, we have about 40% of the tourism dollar remaining in Jamaica. And our objective as the People's National Party in the next government is to ensure that we move from 40 to, in the first instance, 60 cents from every dollar to retain in Jamaica. It means that more businesses must be facilitated in tourism in order for the money to retain.
Following a recent tour of the Bustamante Children's Hospital, some stakeholders believe the story is being sugar-coated. At least that's the word from opposition spokesperson on health, Dr. Alfred Dawes, who says the facility needs much improvement.
I have been contacted by several persons who are very concerned that the tone of the press conference and the picture that is painted of the Bustamante Hospital for Children, the Caribbean's largest pediatric hospital, is a rosy picture that is being painted, but the reality on the ground is that people are suffering. And we're not just talking about the users, the children and the parents. We're talking about the staff, the frustrated staff who they have been complaining about the state of the hospital for some time. Written letters, they have gone out of their way to try and solicit and donations in order to improve the hospital.
At a National Housing Trust ceremony in Union Acres, Irwin, St. James, 50 of the planned 144 housing units were officially handed over to new residents. Prime Minister Andrew Holness announced that this is only the start, assuring the parish that even more housing developments are on the horizon.
We have, I like to call it, a train line of housing developments that are slated for this parish, and they will all happen in very quick time for the people of this parish. For the entire area, the housing development for the entire area, the plan is 9,837 housing units for Trelawney, Westmoreland, Hanover, and St. James in total.
Stay with us. More news continues after this.
Us vibing, Jamaican quality for sure. First thing when I wake up, pour up my box syrup. Pure water, me can't get enough. Feeling the love in the air. On the beach with my ginger beer. I'll do a low on cash. Still can't go buy one splash. Squash, load, catch up, road. Pure, have you ready for the road? Pure products, quality for sure.
Jamaica, get ready! Saturday, October 26th, live on the lawns of Mona. It's Boys to Men. Singing your favorite hits. Also performing live, Tess and Chin and Lila Ike. Get your tickets now at caribtix.com, Kingston, Jer, and Fontana. Saturday, October 26th, 2024. It's Boys to Men, live on the lawns of Mona. Starts at 8 p.m. Sponsored by Supreme Ventures, Mayberry, Main Event, Island Grill, and Courtly Hospitality Group.
The Isuzu MUX. Take the lead. Visit our showroom at 19 to 21 Carlton Crescent, Kingston 10 today. Or call us at 876-929-9190. Isuzu Jamaica, with you for the long run.
Welcome back. It's now time for our discussion segment. A recent Don Anderson poll reveals a shift in public sentiment, with the People's National Party PNP gaining a notable lead in favourability over the Jamaica Labour Party JLP. The poll indicates that 36.3% of respondents support the PNP compared to 32.4% for the JLP, marking a significant change as the PNP overtakes the JLP, which had long maintained a higher support base. Joining us now to explore this trend further is social and political commentator Sandra Roden and political commentator Roger Bent. And just a correction, they're not the parties, but in fact the leaders. Gentlemen, thank you again for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start with you.
Sandra.
Let's start with you, Mr. Bent. Mark Golding has recently seen a rise in favourability over the Prime Minister Andrew Holness. What do you see as the main factors driving this shift in public sentiment toward the PNP and its leadership?
Okay. That's a question to me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think I'm going to talk about three things. One, I think the parties seeming to be unified is helping his image. And with the less infighting that is taking place within the PNP now, is now making him seem stronger and a more unified force. Secondly, I think the issue that the showing at the recently concluded People's National Party conference, in which he was highlighted as this family man, as this strong leader, as this facilitator. He wasn't in the front, but he clearly was leading and facilitating. And I think that also helped with the boost in image. And recently, the issues coming out of the Integrity Commission also would have given him a boost as well. So those three factors, I think, have contributed to what we're seeing now.
Just for clarity again for our viewers, these polls indicate a shift in leadership favorability for the leaders, not the party. Sir Roden, I'm going to throw to you now. Is the PNP stronger, as Mr. Bent suggests?
Well, I can only speak anecdotally from an external perspective. It seems as if they have unison, that we would have spoken about fragmentation. Say a couple months ago, Roger, a couple years ago, we'd have been saying as commentators that the fragmented show, the fact that there is no Lisa and Damien there beside the leader to, pull it all together. Now we saw in September where they had Damien Crawford as one of their main speakers with a potent message as it relates to riling up that base. So the base, at the very least, believes that the party is united. So that means more of the base will come out. Now, I want to just head quickly, Ramon, to Carl Stone's Politics versus Economics, and say to us that the more we change, the more we remain the same. And this was the electorate on page 32 back in 1980. And it says the JLP has governed in a manner that is in a sharp contrast to the PNP government led by Manley. The electorate has become accustomed to a political style under the PNP regime that was populist, mobilizational, and which involves extensive political communication and leadership contact with citizens at the community level. The JLP regime has maintained a low-profile, bureaucratic, and non-mobilizational style that has insulated the leadership from grassroots contact. And Roger, you know why I read that. Now, when we look at the contrast, what the PNP would have been doing, normally in opposition, you have more time to do that because you have less governing time. But they have started and continued to pull the politics to the people, to pull Mark Golding to the people. So
is that visibility what has probably... Sir Roden, has that visibility perhaps lended to the increased favorability now?
Right, that's what I'm getting at. When 2 years, we don't know what we're doing. Dayton came out and he said, we know what we're doing. We are going to get the lead that we need him to get. And they did that through that grassroots and that mobilizational politics that they know so well to do. This is 1980 that I read about, and they just did the same thing. So when you see that, and Roger said it best, the conference, a big high for them. And then, of course, they have been attacking the Prime Minister on many different fronts. So, of course, that would lead to that unfavorability rating or that low favorability rating as well for the Prime Minister. He's being attacked. He's the leader, so naturally he's going to be unpopular. And then, of course, they're bringing out that positive side of Mark Golding, him dancing, his son speaking. And, you know, that makes people view more favorably.
Now, Golding is leading in favorability ratings. Could this signal a potential shift in voter preferences towards the next general election? And I ask this because it really does seem that both parties have really ramped up their election or campaign machinery. I mean, the recently released FinSAC Commission archives have been used as fodder recently at a JLP conference with attacks against the opposition. So, could this be an offensive for what the JLP sees as a very steep or difficult fight ahead? And that's to you, Roden.
Right. So I thought Roger was going to come in, but I'll give him the word after me. I think that when we look at these numbers, it indeed represents a likability, but it does not necessarily convert so quickly into voter intention, because as much as we're trying to, the people are saying they're liking the leaders more, it still comes down to, I think this election is going to come down to base versus base, who can pull out their base more, because it's still in the margin of error. There's a lead, but it's like a 2% lead or 3% lead if we consider the margin of error. So it's not a clear cut to say voter intention has shifted. Right now, I'm saying that voter intention might be straight down the middle now, and it's a matter of what happens in the next couple of months. But what I can say is that the consistency of the PNP in their attacks, in their opposition tactics, can lead to greater voter intent. The inability of the JLP to respond to that can lead to that as well. So if the ramping up of FinSAC, etc., if that is done in a meaningful way and it actually lands, because the problem is, Ramon, that a lot of things are done but they don't land. If they don't land with the populace, it won't affect voter intention. That's a fact. So that is where it comes to. So I don't think it's there yet, but I think that there's a balance in act now. I think these polls show that it's now balanced. It's now fair game for all in the political landscape.
Mr. Benji just heard Sir Roden, it's fair game for all. Given these developments politically, Sir Bent?
I think I share some of the sentiments as Sandra is saying.
Please.
This may serve as a morale booster, but really and truly, as it relates to the politics is local. It's more than just a favorability of the party leader that is going to really affect voter intention. It's the slate of people. We are still some months ahead before we can even be talking about an election. So it's hard to say whether or not it's going to really measure up in any way for the politics or for the outcome in the near future. It's a sign that there's a shift. 8% really isn't as significant as we think if it is that we're going to make a call about a voter intention changing, right?
Yeah.
But we do know that there is some changes, and if they're putting in the right kind of measures and the right kind of tactics, it may work well for them.
Very well. Last question, 30 seconds to the both of you. We'll start with you, Mr. Bent, and end with Sir Roden. Now, with a significant portion of